Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming back to join us in this live section. Thank you. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me in this live section. So, guys, today is Monday, June 23rd, 2025, and it is 983 days today since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu defeated Nigeria in her court. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still being held illegally. So, guys, I just want to announce to you guys that today is the 983rd day that that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu defeated Nigeria in court, but still he's still in and he's still held illegally. So it is important to tell you guys that Nnamdi Kanu's trial is, they charged him under dead laws. Like his trial is under dead laws that doesn't exist, that doesn't exist again. So today is the 23rd of June 2025, and then it is the 983rd day that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu defeated Nigerian government in court, but Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is still held, is still held in custody, still held illegally by Nigerians. So guys, and also many people are also intervening on his release. People like Kubana chief priest. According to him, he said, "We all have not had access to our hometown. Only his release will restore peace to our region." That was what Kubana chief priest said. He joined Rocha Sokocha to call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. So you can see that not, everybody now is now calling for the release, as they have realized that it's only the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that will bring peace and restore unity in Nigeria. So like I said, now let's talk about, I know that Kanu, in fact, Kanu is set for his release. That's what we should know. Kanu is set for his release on the 18th of July, as the judge closed the case of him and Nigerian government in the last court section, and then gave Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's legal team to 14 days to write a written note why they should close the case. And also they gave the prosecuting team, they gave them 14 days to Nigerian government for them to respond. So now let's talk about all the thing that how the controversies around Kanu's trial. Now it is important that Kanu have severally come out to say that he has no case to answer. He has come out to say severally that he has no case to answer. So now let's talk about the fact that Kanu is being tried under dead laws. Kanu is being tried under dead laws. So now on June 23rd, 2025, the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, once again broke their silence in a powerful statement that laid bare what they call a systematic and politically motivated miscarriage of justice. Now, their detained leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, has now spent 4 years in DSS detention following his controversial redemption from Kenya. Yet, after all this time, IPOB insists that no credible evidence has been presented against him. Today, we unpack their statement and line by line. So now, we uncover the legal and okay, today we unpack their statements line by line and uncover the legal, political and moral issues at the heart of this prolonged trial. So now let's know that in June 2021, Nnamdi Kanu was forcibly Nnamdi Kanu was forcibly redemptioned from Kenya from Nigeria authorities. No extradition hearing, no legal notification to Kenya court, just an adoption. Let's know that on June 2021. Now, a process IPOB and many legal scholars have branded as illegal and unconstitutional. Now, in June 2021, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was redemption from Kenya by Nigerian government, no extradition hearing, no legal notifications to Kenya courts, just an adoption, a process IPOB and many legal scholars, even what's it called, even American observers have said that is illegal and is unconstitutional. So now, this act echoes a famous case, you know, where Nigerian Supreme Court ruled against the government for a similar unlawful adoption from Niger Republic. So this question IPOB poses today is simple. Now, the question they pose is that is the judiciary he said if the judiciary could protect DICO, Why is Kanu being differently treated? You guys know what you guys know Diko. Diko, he actually, he committed more crime self than Nnamdi Kanu. So if the judiciary could protect Diko, constitution why is the constitution, or if Nnamdi Kanu or if the judiciary could protect Diko, why is Kanu being treated differently? So guys, you can see it now. So the thing is, the IPOB legal team led by Barrister Onyeka Ifedi raised a damning point. All charges against Kanu are rooted in repealed and outdated laws that no longer exist in Nigeria again. For instance, the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013, which forms the backbone of most of the terrorism charges against Kanu, was repealed in 2022. You can see. So now, the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013, which forms the backbone of the most of the terrorism charges against Kanu, was repealed in 2022. You can see now that the allegations or the charges or Kanu's trial is just under dead laws that doesn't exist again. This thing was repealed. The Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013 was repealed in 2022. Why are they still keeping him there in custody? Why? The question IPOB people are asking is, if the judiciary could protect Diko, why is Kano still being treated differently? This act echoes a famous case of Diko V. You guys know Diko V now. If they could protect him, if the judiciary could protect him, okay, why is Kanu being treated differently? Why? So now, the Customs and Exercise Management Act used for the transmitter importation charge also repealed in 2023. You can see this law doesn't exist again. The both thing they said he did, the Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013, which forms the backbone of most of the terrorism charges against Kanu, was repealed in 2023. The backbone of all charges was repealed in 2022. Then the Custom and the Exercise Management Act, used for the transmitter importation charge, also repealed in 2023. Legally, this means that the charges have no foundation in current Nigerian law. It doesn't exist again in the current Nigerian law. Worse still, IPOB says the court itself amended certain charges without properly recording it on the official charge sheet. A fatal, procedural error. Guys, you can see what Nigerian government are doing. They are doing all in their powers to make sure that they bring down Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to the ground totally. Because why would they amend this law when the law has expired? It doesn't exist again. They still went to amend it just to prove that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a terrorist, which they know that he's not. No evidence have been found, or no evidence has linked him to terrorism. None at all. None. Now, beyond the laws, IPOB highlights something even more serious: a total absence of evidence. That's justice. Beyond the law, IPOB highlights something even more serious: a total absence of evidence. They say there is no named victim. There are no named victims. No foreseen evidence of violence or terrorism. That's it. There's no evidence of violence or terrorism. No direct testimony from any soldier, police officer, or civilian allegedly harmed by Kanu or IPOB. That's just it. There is no evidence. Kanu is being tried under laws that doesn't exist again in Nigerian constitution. Nigerian government, they are the ones that make this law, but they are the same people that cannot follow the law. This doesn't exist again. So why is Kanu still being held, tried under laws that doesn't exist again? Even American observers has asked their own question, because they don't even get. They don't understand why they are still keeping that man there. There are no named victims. They're not calling anybody's name. There is no evidence of violence or terrorism. There is no direct testimony from any soldier, police officer, or civilian allegedly harmed by Kanu or IPOB. Now, see what IPOB members said. In their words, they said, despite over 4 years of trial and multiple amended charges, the federal government has failed to present any credible or admissible evidence. That is what they are saying. Since 4 years, like I always see, this man has been there, getting to 5 years now of his trial. He has been in DSS custody. Since then, there are no, even since they have been amending their charges, the multiple amended charges, the federal government has failed to present any credible or admissible evidence. So what exactly is Nnamdi Kanu being tried for? We need to ask ourselves that question. We need to ask Nigerian government that question. We need to ask DSS that question. What exactly is Nnamdi Kanu being tried for? Because his trial, he's being tried under dead laws. The Terrorism Prevention Act of 2013, which forms the backbone of most of the terrorism charges, is the backbone of all the charges of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. It was repealed in 2022. The Custom and Exercise Management Act, used for the transmitter importation charge, it doesn't exist again. It expired in 2023. So now, why are they still holding Mazi Nnamdi Kanu there? Why? So what exactly? And then the worst of it is that there are no names, there are no named victims. Ever since Nigerian government have been presenting their witnesses against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, none of them has testified, or there's no testimony from any soldier or police officer or any person, any civilian that was harmed by Kanu or IPOB. There is no evidence of violence or terrorism. That's just it. That's to show you that he's an innocent man. So what exactly is Nnamdi Kanu being tried for? What is he still doing in DSS custody when they cannot prove that he's a terrorist? When they cannot prove that he truly committed the crime they're accusing him of. So now, to IPOB now, the answer is politics. That's just it. Remember the question a Nigerian government asked. Remember the question IPOB asked. They're asking what exactly is Nnamdi Kanu being tried for, because they don't understand at this point, because they need to follow the law. Nigerian government needs to follow the law. Now they said, what exactly is Kanu being tried for? The answer is politics. They describe the case as a media trial, where the court of public opinion has replaced the court of law. That's just it. And they aren't alone. Legal observers has questioned, why was IPOB declared a terrorist group via an part order, which requires no debate or defense? Why is the judiciary allowing a case based on repealed laws to proceed? Why? The judiciaries have asked, why is this happening? Why is the government more interested in propaganda than prosecution? Why is it they cannot just give him a fair hearing? Why are they so interested in propaganda? In fact, IPOB referenced the Lagos Judicial Panel on EndSARS, which found that Nigerian security forces were responsible for the violence, not IPOB. Guys, you can see, they actually accused IPOB of the EndSARS wahala, the EndSARS crisis as then. So now IPOB referenced the Lagos Judicial Panel on EndSARS, which they found out that Nigerian security forces were responsible for the violence, not IPOB. They see this entire trial as a deliberate narrative to discredit Nnamdi Kanu, distract from human rights violation, and criminalize the demand for self-determination. This is the agenda of Nigerian government. Now let's take a deeper look at the legal arguments IPOB made. Now, number one is repealed law. That's one of the legal arguments of IPOB, repealed law. The truth is that you cannot try someone under a law that no longer exists. It is not possible. You cannot try someone under a law that no longer exists. And another one is procedural error. Procedural errors. Charges are amended from one statute to another without due process. That's what it just means. Legally, this makes the trial null and void. These are the legal arguments that IPOB made. Number one was repealed law. Laws that doesn't exist. That is, how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is being tried. That's what they are using to try Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You can't try someone under a law that does no longer exist. Procedural errors. Procedural errors. Charges amended from one statute to another without due process. Legally, this makes the trial null and void. The next one is customs allegation. They alleged Nnamdi Kanu illegally imported transmitter in 2015, that's 2015, but failed to provide the shipping documents, regulatory certification, evidence of concealment. That is why IPOB calls this a legal incompetent charge. Nigerian government are just doing all in their powers to make sure they make sure that a man cannot rot in jail. Because tell me why all this. See, no wonder Mazi Nnamdi Kanu only says that this, or IPOB members say that this trial is just illegal and all these charges are incompetent. They said, they alleged Mazi Nnamdi Kanu illegally imported a transmitter in 2015, but failed to provide the shipping documents, regulatory certification, evidence of concealment. They didn't, but they allegedly, said he imported transmitter. That is why IPOB calls this a legally incompetent charge. They also stress that IPOB itself is not an illegal group. Now, Justice Binta Nyeko wrote this in 2017. Yet, that ruling was ignored when the government secured an expert prescription order without a proper hearing. Now, this raises troubling questions about due process, rule of law, and regional bias in Nigeria judiciary. That's just it. This raises, we need to start asking ourselves. Already, we know that Nigeria is a lawless country because these people make law, and then the same people that make law, they break the law by themselves. Now, imagine Binta Nyeko ruled this in 2017, yet that ruling was ignored when the government secured an expert prescription order without a proper hearing. We need to now ask, this raises concerns about or questions about due process, rule of law, and regional bias in Nigeria judiciary. As this trial drags on IPOB, as this trial drags on, IPOB has one final message. So the message is justice must not only be done, it must be seen to be done. They are calling for international bodies to monitor the trial, journalists to report with truth, not propaganda, human rights lawyers to speak out, and for the Nigerian judiciary to remember its own precedence in defending human rights. Now, the fate of Nnamdi Kanu is no longer just about one man, it's now representing the credibility of Nigeria's justice system. Whether you agree with IPOB or not, one thing is clear. And the thing that is clear is a justice system without transparency or evidence or due process is a threat to everyone. The trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a mirror reflecting the strength or weakness of Nigeria's democracy. Now, what happens next will shape history, honestly. Now, what happens next is going to shape. The truth is that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial is just exposing how bad Nigeria's democracy is. That's justice. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has not committed any crime at all, but they still kept him there. People they are supposed to lock up, people that committed big crimes are seen walking about freely without anybody holding them or kidnapping them. Just the same way they kidnapped Mazi Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya to Nigeria. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has good plan. Guys, take a look at the old broadcast of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu.
There are people who are what I call, I won't use too much grammar because a lot of people are watching, mothers are watching, grandmothers are watching in the villages. People who out of cowardice and self-hate think that Nigeria somehow can be won. But all of you know that Nigeria is an Islamic country. I'm sure you're aware of that. All of you also understand the intentions of the Fulani. Oh, if you want the presidency, you have to work for it. Tinubu, you must work for it. How is Tinubu working for it? You must condemn anybody who comes out to speak against our people in your forest. That is what they are doing. Some of you don't understand it, but we do. Some of you do not understand what is happening, but we do. And that is why we are here to tell you. The real terrorists in Asharok, they have dropped them. And now presidency is telling you, you cannot touch them. But these are people killing people in Yoruba forest. No, you cannot touch them. A whole presidency to tell you that every Fulani man is in on this. Their foot soldiers are Mieti Allah. Have you all forgotten that they gave Mieti Allah 100 billion? Have you all forgotten? No, typical Nigeria, nigger. Have you all forgotten? So you've forgotten that this so-called presidency, Garba gave Mieti Allah 100 billion to come down to the south to give peanuts to useless monarchs and traditional rulers so that our forests can be taken. Have you all forgotten? Oh, you have. Of course, you're in the zoo. You've forgotten. Did they give 100 billion to any other organization? Did Asarok give 100 billion to any other group? Why would a government give 100 billion to a bunch of terrorists and openly claim that they are stakeholders in the government? That is why government can come out openly without shame to support terrorists in Yoruba forests. Let them come to our land and they will see. They say that all the government of Ondo State and others must draw a boundary. Where, who are the bandits and who are the law-abiding? How can we know? As I'm going there, my phone, when your man all the lizards, all the, you know, now lizard, their stomach is almost on the floor. So we don't know which one has belly ache. How do we know? How can you differentiate between a good headsman and a violent terrorist headsman? How can you know? How can you know? I'm asking you. Mieti Allah is there, remote controlling all your lives. Look at how they installed, after installing Hope, they installed the idiot George Obiozo. George Obiozo was the man that took Hope to the north to go and introduce him as a politician. The same Usadema that George Obiozo, he's an intellectual, as they, you know, he fools. Once they give you a degree, they say you're an intellectual. George Obiozo, before you took Hope Usadema to the north, did you know that Hope Usadema was doing 419 in Lagos? He was a fraudster doing Yahoo in Lagos. Who doesn't know in Imo State that Hope Usadema was a fraudster in Lagos? These are the type of leaders that they imposed on our people. Idiots. And we are there. They have Apex organization. Apex. These are errand boys for the caliphate. That's why BBC is promoting him. That is why they are all promoting. That is what they have always done. Black people are like that. As I told you before, when the British came to stop the eastern advance of the French colonial forces in Benin Republic, in Badagry, basically in Badagry. You know what Britain did? They didn't go to England to go and bring soldiers. They went to Ghana. They recruited Ghanaians, black niggers from Ghana, to come and help them to conquer their fellow niggers in Nigeria. They didn't have to go travel very far. That is why I keep saying that the brain of a black man is his greatest impediment. You see, inside this brain, everything a black man is suffering from is here. Inability to reason. Inability to reason. It is the truth I must tell you. Some may not like it, but of course I will tell you. You cannot, the presidency is telling, you cannot unilaterally push out headsmen. What are they doing in the bushes? In the forest? And they said it's to feed their cattle. Before the white man came, where were you feeding your cattle? Fulani? Where? What was your cattle eating then? They said it's climate change. Of course, it's a lie. You came from very barren, arid Sahel. No rain in Sahel for centuries. It didn't start today. You were able to keep your cattle, you drink the blood and you drink the milk. That's how you survive. Now, what are you doing in Ondo Forest? Our people cannot see because they are blind. People cannot see because they are blind. But we are here to open your eyes. All of them killing themselves over Jonathan presidency. from the so-called Niger Delta or Yoruba that was dying because of Obasanjo presidency, where are they today? They are still the ones crying that things are not okay. So you think as an Igbo man, if you're there for 8 years, somehow, miraculously, you will change anything? Ironsi tried and they killed him. Use your brain. It was meant to be Alex Ekwueme after Shagari. Buhari overthrew the government in 1983. Some of you don't know history. Rather than allow an Igbo man to become the president, they did a coup. Some of you need to reason very well. Obi, also, you claim you went to school, you should be able to use your brain. How can you believe the people who are foolish? They cannot, because of the Nchonche wild chicken change they give you in Abuja. You don't have a house in Abuja because of that. You are going to suffer and die. Check Wabuno, there are mad people. You've not seen anything yet. You have not seen anything.
So, guys, you can see that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is truly a prophet that doesn't have a church, and then, he's a hero that saw the future, that was, preaching to Nigerian government of the dangers around, the dangers of these Fulani people. These Fulanis during the days, during olden days, the days of our grandfathers, what were their cow? Because I'm very sure that they don't carry cow around. What were their cow eating? Just according to what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was asking, what were they eating? What were they eating? Because they claim now that they're eating as at then. And also, he also said, reasons why Nigerian government doesn't want to, or they truly doesn't want an Igbo man to become the president of Nigeria. He said after Shagari was supposed to be Alice, it was supposed to be Alice Ekuwemi, but then, you know, they stopped him. They stopped him from becoming the president. They just stopped him. That's to tell you what is going on in this country. When they say that Nigeria has an Igbo problem, truly they have an Igbo problem. They truly have an Igbo problem. So now let's dive deep into what IPOB members are saying. Let's dive into what they are saying. Now, Emma Powerful has brought, through Emma Powerful, a message has been sent from IPOB members. Now, we bring you a powerful and an emotional message from indigenous people of Biafra IPOB. They have made a bold and spiritual declaration saying that Nigeria is now under divine judgment because Nigeria is now under a divine judgment. In fact, let me just briefly explain to you what they are talking about. So Nigeria is suffering is suffering is cold words from jailing Nnamdi Kanu. Now, because of what is happening in the country now, the insecurity happening in the country, IPOB, they are saying that Nigeria is suffering is God's words for jailing Nnamdi Kanu. Now, IPOB declares Middle Belt attack worsens. Now, look at what is happening in the Middle Belt, how people are dying every time. So they are saying this because of the jailed Mazi Nnamdi Kanu now. They are suffering, so Nigeria is now suffering its God's words because that man has not done anything. So now, IPOB says Nigeria is facing divine punishment for persecuting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. The group demands a national apology and warns that bloodshed will not end until justice is done. So we bring you a powerful and emotional message from the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB. They have made a bold and spiritual declaration saying that Nigeria is now under divine judgment because of what the government has done to their leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So now, um, the IPOB, through their spokesperson, Comrade Emma Powerful, released a strong statement. They believe that the recent rise in insecurity across Nigeria, especially in the Middle Belt region like Benue, Plateau, and Southern Kaduna, is not a coincidence. So they are saying all the buying, all the killing in Plateau, in the north, and is like a punishment to Nigerian government for persecuting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu because he has done anything. And two, not just because he has not done anything, they don't even have an evidence. When someone doesn't have an evidence that you committed a crime, how is the person guilty? How? Why is it still there? So now, even American observers have asked so many questions. These people cannot still give a tangible or credible or admissible evidence that he actually committed this crime to make him guilty. No evidence, no direct confession or testimony from a soldier, a civilian that kind of hurt them. They said he's a terrorist. No violence attack. We have not heard or seen anything. So why is he still there? What is he tried for? We have learned that Kano is being tried under dead laws that doesn't exist again. Laws that doesn't exist. So now IPOB believe that the recent rise in insecurity across Nigeria, especially in the Middle Belt region like Benue, Plateau, and South Kaduna, is not a coincidence. They say it is God's punishment for the way the Nigerian government has treated Nnamdi Kanu. In their words now, they said Nigeria mocked and persecuted a prophet of God. That is what they are saying. You know that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu saw the future. In fact, saw this recent attack that happened in Benue State. He saw it all when he was telling Nigerian government that one time when your eyes will open is when these Fulanis will start raping your girls, raping people's wife, causing havoc, buying people, both children. He talked about the dangers of these Fulanis in this country. Talked about the way they're carrying cows around. Said that which country will you see that people, herdsmen are carrying cow around and I said they are pastorants? Which country? It's only Nigeria that knows that they know fully well that I don't understand why this country, Nigeria, know fully well that these Fulanis are buying people through this grazing, but then they don't want to still stop that law of grazing, carrying cow around. Even when they brought a law, that will actually stop these grazing habits of these Fulani, the way they are carrying cows around. They opposed it. The Northerners opposed that law. That is why you still see now these people are still carrying cow from one place to another. Even on the road where people walk, where car, ply, these people carry cow around. Now, they said in their words, they said Nigeria mocked and persecuted the prophet of God. They described Kanu. They describe Kanu not just as a political leader, but as a messenger sent from God to warn Nigeria about dangers. But instead of listening, the government adopted him from Kenya, tortured him, and locked him up unjustly. Now, IPOB says the bloodshed happening across the country is a direct result of ignoring the warning. Yes, you guys know that if actually Nigerian government had listened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Chase, because even in the broadcast you just heard few minutes ago, a few seconds ago, you heard Mazi Nnamdi Kanu talking about Ogun State. So you see that he's not just interested in only Igbo states, only Igbo land. He's interested in all the states. He's saying, what are they doing in Ogun State? What are they doing in the bushes? What are these Fulanis doing in the bushes in Ogun State? That's to tell you that this man truly is going to restore peace in the whole Nigeria. He's not just talking about Igbo land. He's also concentrating. What are they doing in Ogun State? Are they where they're supposed to be? These people will come to the west or the east and live in the bushes. They cannot go and take their cows to the north because the north have vast land more than the west or the east. So why are they still being carried? Why are they still carrying cow around this place? Around the east and the west. Why? So now they said now that the bloodshed happening across the country is a direct result for ignoring that warning. So probably or definitely or obviously, if Nigerian government should have or listened to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the I think the country is going to be by now it's going to be at peace. That's just it. We'll be at peace. So now in the statement, the IPOB statement refers to the Bible several. They refer to the Bible several times. They compared the Nnamdi Kanu to prophet like Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Elijah, people who won their nation in the past but ignored and was punished. So now, IPOB actually compared Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to the prophets in the Bible, Prophet Jeremiah, Prophet Isaiah, Prophet Elijah, people who won their nation in the past but were ignored or punished. Now, they say a nation that rejects its redeemer must prepare to meet its ruin. That's it. Nigeria is collapsing, and people believe that the only thing that will restore peace in this nation is what? Is Nnamdi Kanu, the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. That's the only thing that can restore peace. People are now admitting that, people are now realizing that this man is the only man that can restore peace in this country. Even Cubana chief priest has said it. He has said it. Everybody is now saying, according to him, this is what he said. He said, we all have not had access to our hometown. Only his release will restore peace to our region. So, like I always say, now people don't go to their hometown. People have abandoned their farm. They have, if they want to go, they don't even go to their hometown or their village for important meetings, because you guys know that there are important things people need to do in their village, but because of these headers, these Fulani men, they don't go to the village. So according to what Cubana Chief is saying, he said that we all have not had access. We all have not had access to our hometown. Only his release will restore peace to our region. Cubana Chief Priest joins Rochas Okorocha, sorry, Rochas Okorocha to call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. So now everybody is now realizing, because IPOB have said a nation that rejects its redeemer must prepare to meet its ruin. Now, in simply words, it just means that if you punish the person try to save you, if you punish the person that is trying to save you, you're only preparing yourself for destruction. That's just the truth. If you punish the person that is actually trying to save you, you're actually preparing, or you prepare to meet, or just prepare yourself for destruction. Because Nnamdi Kanu was preaching, trying to save Nigeria, but now look at the way Nigeria is going. Look at the way Nigeria is going. Now, they also describe the Nigerian media and security services, especially the DSS, as part of the problem, accusing them of lying and misleading the public about who the real enemies of Nigeria are. Why is DSS, after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu when terrorists are terrorizing everywhere? Why is they don't go after these terrorists? Why are they after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu when they know the truth? Or when they cannot even give evidence or good evidence that he's a terrorist? Why is it like this? Why is it like this? So, as you can see, so they describe Nigerian media and security services, especially the DSS, as a part of the problem, accusing them of lying and misleading the public about who the real enemy of Nigeria are. Now, here where IPO's message become even more controversial, they claim that the real terrorists are not Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB members, but rather foreign-backed Fulani headers. Everybody is confirming it. Who is not confirming it now? Like, who is not saying this thing? Even these flying people have come to say that who these guns, this AK-47, that do they have money to buy it? That they are just common headers. They don't have money. That these guns were given to them, these weapons were given to them. Bauchi state governor has come out to say that Nigeria use Nigeria's resources to what? Accommodate foreign terrorists, Fulanis, to come and buy people. Their main aim is to buy everyone and take over the lands in Nigeria. That is just it. That is their main aim. That is their main aim. Now, IPOB say they claim the real terrorists are, are not Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB members, but rather foreign-backed Fulani headers. They accuse the Nigerian government of protecting these headers men who have been accused of violent attacks in Benue State, Plateau, and other regions. Yes, these people are the ones doing this thing. Just like a man in that attack in Yeleweta, he said he heard them clearly that these people are Fulani people. Though for some people that will come and be accusing IPOB that is there, it is Fulani guys. Just listen to what this man said. A survivor in the Yeleweta attack by Fulani headsmen. Guys, take a look.
My people, my family members, they died in this house. 11. And some died in the other store. 8. Some died here. My whole family members that died yesterday, day before yesterday, on that very day, there were 20. That is my own family members. I'm not talking about any other thing. That is my own family members. This is my store. Those shops are my stores. Those places are being burned.
Please walk.
Those places, this place is being burned. Here and up, my house is up there. That place also is burned. And the store where I pack my goods, I store my goods everywhere has burned. They burned my clothes, they burned everything, they burned our food, all my family members. What we came out with is our clothes, what we wear. And I, standing here, this is what I came out with. And this is the only thing that I have. There's no anything with me.
Can you recount the incident as it happened that particular day? Tell us what happened. What did you hear? What did you see?
On that very day, rain started in the evening. So we entered, I slept there. So I was sleeping around 10:20. We had gunshot at back there. So before we could notice that something is happened, Fulani men, they entered this place.
How are you sure they are Fulani men?
Because they were speaking and I was inside the room and I heard them clearly. Not somebody told me. I was inside the room there and they surrounded that room.
So, guys, you heard that man. That man is a survivor of the Yelawata attack by Fulani headsmen. So you heard him say that these people are Fulani people. That he heard them clearly. That these people are Fulani people. I'm saying this thing because of those people that always accuse IPOB of attacking or terrorism or violence. You can see that IPOB, they are innocent. In fact, this Benue attack has just revealed that truly IPOB is innocent, or Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is innocent of all this allegation. Now, they claim that the real, IPOB claim that the real terrorists are not Nnamdi Kanu or IPOB members, but rather foreign-backed Fulani headers men. Now, they accuse the Nigerian government of protecting these headersmen who have been accused of violent attack in Benue, Plateau, and other regions. They say the media is helping cover up the truth of focusing on IPOB while ignoring the daily mass killings and land takeover happening in the Middle Belt. Middle Belt is on fire. In fact, it's under siege. People are dying every time. And then they will not concentrate on the daily killings and the land takeover happening in the Middle Belt, but rather they'll go after Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has not been convicted of any crime, an innocent man that just wants to save Nigeria. That was once saving Nigeria, and then they went after him. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is a prophet sent to God, and why all this thing is happening, according to IPOB, they said it's God's punishment for persecuting Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has not done anything. So now, why is IPOB no? Why IPOB believes Nigeria is under judgment? Now, IPOB believes Nigeria's insecurity crisis is not just political but spiritual. They say the killings, displacement, and violence are signs of divine punishment, and there is no military or police action that can stop it unless Nigeria repents and apologizes to Nnamdi Kanu. Truly, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu needs to be apologized to because he didn't do anything. Now, IPOB said that Nigeria committed the sin of Pharaoh by hardening its heart and rejecting the truth. And that's until the country, and that until the country, both the government and citizens, publicly and privately apologize to Nnamdi Kanu, the sufferings will continue. So the IPOB has said until the president come and apologize to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, not just Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, but the whole Igbos, come to Igbo and apologize to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the whole Igbos. That is when the country, suffering will stop, according to what IPOB, IPOB members are saying. So now, here is what IPOB is demanding: a national apology to Nnamdi Kanu, not just by the government, but also by citizens who joined in mocking or falsely accusing him. Now, they're also demanding for a return to truth and justice. They want to, they want to stop spreading lies about IPOB and Kanu. And then they're also requesting for immediate actions to stop the killings in Benue, Plateau State, and across the country. They want that until this is done, the siege will not be lifted, meaning Nigeria will keep experiencing suffering, bloodshed, and insecurity. So they have to do this thing, for peace to reign in Nigeria, according to IPOP. Now let's take a back and look at the bigger picture. Now, whether or not you agree with IPOP, their message raises deep concerns. Now, why is insecurity in Nigeria getting worse despite trillions spent on security? Why? Now, another one is, why are the real killers rarely arrested? You can see, guys. Another one is, why is Nnamdi Kanu still being held without any real evidence of terrorism? This is what we should be asking Nigerian government. Could there be truth in the claim that Nigeria is facing spiritual consequences for justice? Hmm. There is problem. IPOB has made their position clear. Nigeria is under judgment because of the injustice done to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. They believe only truth, apology, and repentance can heal the land. Whether you see Nnamdi Kanu as a hero or prophet or a political figure, the call is now on Nigerians to ask hard questions and search their conscience. Because as IPOB puts it, what you did to God's prophet shall now be done unto you. This is what they are saying. This is what they are saying. So, guys, you can see now there's something that happened during Simeon Ekpa's case. And in fact, I think it happened during Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial. Let's now come to Simeon Ekpa's case. You all know that there are some people that actually saboteurs, people that claim they were IPOB. I feel when this Biafran struggle came, especially when they were forming US members, or when I think there were haters of Nnamdi Kanu or haters of Simeon Ekpa or haters of IPOB that truly claim they don't want the struggle to succeed. So they had to join IPOB, they had to join IPOB to use that way to make sure that Biafran struggle doesn't exist. Because tell me why IPOB members, freedom fighters, will come and be testifying against Biafra, saying that Biafra is dead. Tell me why this thing would not, if these people didn't, if these people were not members, but then they claimed they were members. They were not true members, but they claimed they were members, guys. Now, the Biafran struggle is a serious journey. It's not a game, it's not a business. It's a matter of life and death for our people. But today, some of the biggest problems we face are not just from our enemies outside, but from people inside. Imagine people that testified against Simeon Ekpa were people that are IPOB members. They collected money, and they are, what is that? How much is that money you collected? Can you compare it to being in bondage for forever until God come? Is it worth it? Those who once betrayed us and now want, they now want to come back quietly. Now, after Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped and brought back from Kenya, everything changed. In the first 6 weeks after that, many saboteurs and betrayers entered IPOB, pretending to support the movement, but they were secretly planning to break the leadership and scatter everything. So people that were betrayed, in fact, saboteurs and betrayers who were pretending to support Biafra struggle, they weren't, though. They had bad intentions, they had bad plans to make sure that they secretly scatter everything, the leadership and everything. That is why you see that IPOB members, it was shocking to everyone to see IPOB members testifying against Simeon Ekpa. Some of these people are the same ones you see today shouting on social media. They were the one pushing and supporting people like Nnamdi Kanu to attack, they are the one pushing pushing it, and then many things really happened. They didn't stop there. Oh. They did not stop there. And for after 6 months, they worked together and tried to bring back IPOB down from the inside, but God exposed them. They began to fight themselves. Some got tired, some started coming back through the back door, quietly rejoined the movement without any apology, like nothing happened. Now they are back online pretending to be leaders again, but they are still doing the same thing, causing confusion, dividing the people, and attacking IPOB leaders. Why? Why? Because they make money from crisis. They love to see confusion in Biafran land. They never contributed anything meaningful. Some never even gave $1 to the struggle, but they feed off the noise, the lies, and the drama. But let's be real. These people are dangerous. They act like they are helping, but they are not doing anything. Rather, they are doing more harm than good. They destroyed things once. Now they once destroyed it. Now they want to come back and destroy it again. If we are not careful, they will block Bia from happening again. That is just it. So we are saying that yes, forgiveness. We're not saying that forgiveness is not good. Though. Forgiveness is good, but not without the truth. If someone betrayed the movement, they must be honest and take responsibility, not sneak back in and continue the same bad behavior. Now, our prayer is, may Chukwu Abiam Chukwu Okike Abiyama give us life, so one day we'll come and tell the full story of those who helped this struggle and those who slowed it down with their selfishness and pride. Let us open our eyes and let's protect IPOB from those who pretend to be friends but really enemies. Biafra is coming, but only if we stay united, honest, and trust. That's just it. So we have seen people that are true saboteurs of Biafra struggle. It is ever since Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped from Kenya and brought back to Nigeria, saboteurs really people they were claiming to support Biafran struggle, but they entered. How we knew was, imagine in Simeon Ekpa's case. Imagine in Simeon Ekpa's case, we are surprised to see saboteurs, people that are IPOB. IPOB members were now the one testifying against Simeon Ekpa. Guys, can you imagine? But these people claim to be there. They even said that Biafra is dead. That's to tell you that saboteurs entered. They claim to be supporting IPOB, but their true mission was to destroy the leadership, to make sure that Biafra doesn't come to existence. That's their true mission. And they have actually exposed themselves. Even after everything, they can't even truly give a good reason or good evidence that truly these people are terrorists. They cannot, because if you call someone a thief, you have to defend or actually present evidence that make or something that makes that person a thief. But till now, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu has been in detention for getting close to 5 years now. Simeon Ekpa has been there for 7 months, and then these people cannot prove. In fact, the last court session of Simeon Ekpa, these people said they should give them the Nigerian agents or this the prosecuting team had to beg for 4 months for them to go and gather evidence. Guys, can you imagine what is happening? They have no case to answer. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial is under dead laws. Law that doesn't exist, and I'm sure he's set for a release. I'm sure he's set to be released because on July 18th, I think that's going to be the final declaration of the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me in this live section. And do well to hit that subscribe button. Put down your comment under the comment section. Let me know what you're saying on this headline. So, guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.